This video is about mechanical advantage. So what is mechanical advantage? It is a concept. It's a mathematical concept. That shouldn't surprise you because pretty much everything we do in science has math involved. But specifically, here's my definition of mechanical advantage. So it is, this is my definition, mechanical advantage is how many times easier a machine makes work feel. Okay, so mechanical advantage is going to be a number. So it can be 1, or it can be some number less than 1, or maybe it can be some number greater than 1. If the number is less than 1, it's going to make the work feel harder. And if the mechanical advantage is greater than 1, it's going to make the work feel easier. So maybe you're thinking, what's the point? You know, I only want the work to feel easier. Why in the heck would I want it to feel the same or harder? What would be the deal there? You know, why? Well, let's talk about that for just a second. Not too long, though. Let's say that you've got a heavy box that you want to lift up, but you don't want to hurt your back. So maybe, so you're standing by this box here, so maybe instead of bending down to pick the box up, what if you hooked a pulley to the ceiling and did this? Now you can pull the rope down to lift the box up. So in this case, the box feels just as heavy. Your mechanical advantage is 1, but you get to have a different direction. So that's one thing that machines can do. They can change the direction of the force that you're applying. But I think the best example is probably not to use pulleys. The best example is probably to use a lever. So here's a lever, or even you could think of it like a seesaw. So right here, our mechanical advantage is, once again, it is 1, but that's because this side is the same length, more or less, as that side. So in other words, if you stood at this end and pushed down on this lever, you could lift an object at this end with the same amount of force. It doesn't feel any easier or harder, it just changes the direction. But what I really want to do is I want to change this side. This is called the resistance arm. But I guess I'm not too worried about that right now. So let me draw another one of these. Let's say now that the fulcrum, or the balance point, let's say that the balance point is closer to this end. So let's say I'm standing here and I'm going to push down on this, and I'm going to lift an object on this side. And let's say that this side is, what does that look like? Let's say this is 3 units long, and let's say this side is 1 unit long. That means that if I push down on this side, this object is going to go up, and it's going to feel 3 times lighter. So my mechanical advantage is going to be 3. So that's great. I get to push down on this side, and whatever's on this side feels 3 times lighter. So I can lift all kinds of stuff that I normally couldn't lift if I have a lever like this. So if it feels so easy, what's the cost? What's my payment? You know, what's the cost to make it feel so much lighter? Well, the cost is the distance that you have to move. Because if we look at the left end here, how far do you have to move the handle on this end? It can go this far. It can go pretty darn far. But how far does this end go? This end's really short, so it only moves a little bit. So the cost of making the work feel easier is that you have to move a greater distance. So if your mechanical advantage is 3, that means you have to move 3 times the distance. So is it worth the cost? Well, it depends on what job you want to do. So what if you're at the other end? What if we've got our lever, and this end is 3 and this end is 1, but what if we're on this end and we want to push down? Well, the mechanical advantage here is going to be less than 1. The work is going to feel harder. So how much harder? It's going to be 3 times harder. So we would say the mechanical advantage is 1/3, or maybe you'd say it mathematically, it's 0.3 repeating. So now we would move this end this much, and it would feel really difficult, 3 times harder. But what would the benefit be? The benefit would be that you could move the object 3 times farther, because when this end of the lever moves this far, this end moves 3 times farther. So that's the basic idea of mechanical advantage. There is a relationship between force and distance, and machines can also change the direction of the force you apply. So before I quit, I'm at 5 minutes. I want to stop before 7 minutes. Let's see if that happens. Think about this. What if I have a bicycle, and that bicycle has got gears? And let's forget about the back end for a second. So let's not worry about these gears in the back. Let's worry about these gears in the front. So what's going on here? You got two choices. You can choose this large gear. Bicycle geeks call that a chain ring. Or you can choose this smaller gear. Why would a bicyclist choose one over the other? Well, think about how much chain these things send. If you choose the large gear, every time you pedal, you're sending lots of chain toward the back tire. And if you choose the smaller gear, the smaller chain ring, you're sending a lot less chain to the back. So which one of these feels easier to pedal and which one feels harder? Maybe we should pause the video and see if you can guess. So if you send lots of chain to the back, that means that the pedaling is going to feel harder. But the benefit is that you could go faster. So maybe if you're at the top of a hill and you want to go down a hill, but you want to go super fast, you'd shift to the large gear in front, and you could scream down the hill really fast. And if you were in the smaller gear, then why would you do that? Maybe you're going up a hill, so you want the pedaling to be easier. So your mechanical advantage is going to be high, but what's the cost? You have to pedal more. So your feet have to move around and around a lot more to get up the hill, but it feels a lot easier. So if you choose the big chain ring, it's harder, you get to go faster, and your mechanical advantage is actually a smaller number, but you get to go fast. So there is my video on mechanical advantage.